This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good afternoon, friends. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Habayim. This week, I want to discuss an aspect of being Mitzapeh Yeshua, not necessarily following the Sefer inside, but identifying that if indeed there is an obligation that we need to await the coming of Moshiach, then like all mitzvahs, there are always designated times to fulfill the mitzvah. Like, when are we supposed to fulfill the mitzvah? You know, it's interesting. I'm going to share with you. The Torah says put on tefillin. How often are you supposed to put on tefillin? Do you put on tefillin once a year? You know, like we remember Amalek once a year. Should you do it on the hour? Do you do it once a week? There's a Kesef Mishnah that says that if the Torah gives a mitzvah, and the Torah does not specify when to fulfill the mitzvah, it's at least once a day. So therefore we put on tefillin once a day. And the Chafetz Chaim writes, there's a mitzvah of Avas Hashem that you could technically fulfill any time. But that doesn't mean you should never fulfill it. At least once a day you should fulfill the mitzvah. Tefillah as well, according to the Rambam, Tefillah is a mitzvah d'oraisa. So how often? The Rambam says once a day. So the question is, what about the mitzvah of awaiting the coming of Mashiach? We don't really know, we haven't really been given a designated time that, okay, this is the proper time to fulfill this mitzvah. You know, if we observe something, Kemat, practically, B'chol Tfutzos Yisrael, in all streams of the Jewish people, there was a song composed about a little more than 450 years ago. It was composed from one of the all-time great Kedoshim, Reb Shlomo Alkabetz. He lived in a generation of great tzaddikim, the Beis Yosef, the Ari, the Alshich, the Charedim, and Kemat, most of the Jewish people greet Shabbos with L'chadoidi L'kras Kala Pnei Shabbos Nekabla. The problem is that of the 10 stanzas of this piyut, only 4 of them are even related to Shabbos. We say L'chadoidi L'kras Kala Pnei Shabbos Nekabla. We say Shamar V'zachar B'dibur Echad. We say L'kras Shabbos L'chuven Elcha. And then at the end we say Boi V'shalom Et Teres Bala. Do we even realize Mikdash Melech Ir Melucha? That's not about Shabbos. Hisnari Meyafar Kumi, Hisoiruri Loi Sevoishi, V'hayulim Shisa, Yaminu Smile. 6 out of the 10 have nothing to do with Shabbos at all. It's all about the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash. So I want to share with you a epic insight of Rav Moshe Shapiro. And this insight actually has halachic ramifications. The Gemara says in Taanis on Daf Chavtes that the first Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, Matzoi Shabbos. And then the Gemara continues, V'chein Mishniya, likewise the second Beis HaMikdash. Now why would that be? Great things are never a coincidence. Why was the Beis HaMikdash Dafka destroyed, Matzoi Shabbos, both the first time and the second time? Says the Maharal in Netzach Yisrael Perek Ches that Saturday night is designated for Churban. Why? Because so long as you're headed toward Shabbos, destruction is not possible. Churban is not possible. As long as you're headed to Shabbos, it is impossible to have Churban. So you say then it's impossible to have Churban. We're always headed to Shabbos. Hayom Yom Rishon b'Shabbos, Hayom Yom Sheni b'Shabbos, Hayom Yom Shlishi b'Shabbos, Hayom Yom Revi b'Shabbos. We're always headed to Shabbos. So how is Churban Beis HaMikdash possible? The answer is there's only one window the entire week that we're not headed toward, but rather we're moving away. Matzoi Shabbos, we're not headed toward, we're moving away. If we're moving away from Shabbos, that's the only window that there could be Churban. And the reason is, Rabbi Isai, because Shabbos and Geula and Beis HaMikdash are synonymous. That's right. Shabbos and Beis HaMikdash are synonymous. What Shabbos is to time, the Mikdash is to space. Shabbos is the Beis HaMikdash of time. The Beis HaMikdash is the Shabbos of space. So long as you're headed toward Shabbos, you can't have destruction of the Beis HaMikdash. Only when you're moving away from the Mikdash of Shabbos could you have Churban Beis HaMikdash. That is why throughout the Torah we always find that the subjects of Churban, of the Mishkan and Shabbos are grouped together. In Tzipisa Perek Lamed Aleph, Re'ei Karasi V'Shem, B'Tzalel Ben Uri Ben Chor L'Matei Yehuda, V'Yomer Hashem El Moshe Leimar, Ache Shabsoisai Tishmeiro. Or Sheishes Yomim Teyas Malach Vayakol Perek Lamed Hey, Lo Yisavaru Eish, Pasuk Hey Kechumei Yitchem Tshumal Hashem. What Shabbos is in time, the Mikdash is in space. What the Mikdash is in space, Shabbos is in time. Shabbos is the Mikdash of time, the Mikdash is Shabbos of space. You know, it's amazing. There are in 2 chapters of Tehillim, many people are very familiar with the words of Tehillim. It's important to have an understanding sometimes of the general theme of some of the chapters of Tehillim. 2 times in Tehillim, David HaMelech deals with the age-old question, the question of Tzaddik V'Raloi. In Perek Ayin Gimel, David HaMelech says, I wondered, the wicked say, I can't understand, David HaMelech says, the arrogant, they place their mouth against the heaven while their tongue walks here on this world. They say, Eicha Yada El, does the Supreme One have knowledge? These wicked have peace. David HaMelech says, V'achashiv ala da'asois, I wanted to understand the success of the wicked, and I couldn't understand Ad Avay al Mikdashei Kel Avina Liacharisam, until I got to the Beis HaMikdash. Until I came to the realm of Mikdash, I could not understand the suffering of the righteous. But David reiterates Kemat the exact same idea in chapter 92. In Parak Tzadi Beis, where David HaMelech says, I don't understand. Ish bar lo yeda, chsil lo yavin asois. Befrach risham k'mayesev. Lihisham dem adeyad. On Shabbos, in Mizmar Shir Liyayim HaShabbos, David HaMelech has the courage to explain the question of Ishbar lo yeda uchsil lo yavin azois befrach risham k'mayesev. Why do the wicked flourish? The age-old question, Tzaddik V'Raloi, has one answer. We can understand it in a realm called Shabbos/Mikdash. Shabbos of time, Mikdash of space. And therefore, as we greet the Shabbos, simultaneously, synonymous with embracing the Shabbos, synonymous with awaiting the Shabbos, is awaiting the Geula. That's why every night of the week we say, Baruch Atah Hashem, Shomer Amo Yisrael Ad. But Friday night, we say, Ha Poirehei Sukkah Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Amo Yisrael V'al Yerushalayim. Why do we talk about Yerushalayim? What is it? Yerushalayim Day? It's Shabbos. Yerushalayim is synonymous with Shabbos. What Shabbos is in time, Yerushalayim is in space. Comes the Rambam in Hilchos Shabbos. The Rambam says, what's Kavod Shabbos? You wash your face, your hands, your feet in hot water. You wrap in tzitzis. You sit in solemnness. Says the Rambam, Miyachel hakbalas pnei HaShabbos, awaiting, yearning, pining for the coming of Shabbos. There's a mitzvah, the same way there's a mitzvah to be mitzapeh Yeshua, there's a mitzvah to be mitzapeh for Shabbos. Not that Shabbos comes and it drags you in because you're running to greet the Shabbos that already came. No, You're there. You're awaiting the coming of Shabbos. The same way the Rambam writes in Hilchos Malachim Perek Yirav Halacha Aleph that Kol mi she'enoi mamin bai, ay mi she'enoi mechakel lebiyasai. Just like we learned that it's part of the tenet of faith to believe in the coming of Moshiach and to await its coming. We likewise await the Shabbos. What exists for Geula exists for Shabbos. We're mitzapeh for Shabbos. We're mitzapeh leGeula. Says Rav Moshe Shapiro, Kedai la'ametz aseh halacha l'maisa. This is not Jewish ideology. Okay, friends, so here's the upshot. This is not just Jewish philosophy, Jewish theology, Jewish thought. This is halacha l'maisa, says Rav Moshe Shapiro. If Shabbos and Mikdash are synonymous, if just like we await the coming of Mashiach, we wait the coming of the Shabbos, then this great ideal that HaKadosh Baruch Hu expects of us to await the coming of Mashiach, this great ideal, when do we fulfill it? When should we be Mekayim, being Mitzapeh Legula? Well, since Shabbos is synonymous with Mikdash, then at the time that's designated to await the coming of the Shabbos, namely Kabbalas Shabbos, that is the designated time. Of course, we're always supposed to await the coming of Mashiach, but of all the times, the designated time to await the coming of Mashiach more than any other time, Kabbalas Shabbos. Kabbalas Shabbos is designated to be Mekayim Tzipisa liyeshua. Kabbalah Shabbos is the designated juncture and window to fulfill the great objective of awaiting the coming of Mashiach. May he come speedily in our times.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.